Hello everyone, it's Crimson Final. So what I have here is an extended set against a really skilled opponent, and I'm in quite a unique position with this one because I ended up in hospital at the very end of this set and was in there for a week, and I'm still not quite recovered yet. But what that means is I actually don't really remember much of the set, if anything, so I'll be more or less watching this for the first time, which I think could be quite interesting. So, yeah, without further ado, let's look at it. It'll be my Gigas versus his Kazumi. Oh, and I do remember that I lost the set, but I've only got part of it recorded here, so after this, just assume I lost, like, straight after that. It was a first to 10, and yeah, so ultimately he beat me like for the rest of the set. So anyway, here we go. As you can see, he's an Emperor on his Kazumi, but he's Tekken God Prime with whoever his main is. I've gone with my Minotaur custom, it's probably my favourite one.
Round one. Fight.
So I'm trying to make a little bit of space to begin with and just jab, keep him out a little bit. Trying to play a little bit safe. I was a bit cheeky and I didn't manage to pick him up, which is a shame. You can probably tell I'm feeling a little bit nervous just right out of the gate. There we go. Now, I could have got a much better combo there, a lot more optimal, but I'm feeling a little bit jittery, a bit intimidated. He's on point with his punishes.
KO.
I've got to think it's probably matchup knowledge as much as anything that's getting me an early advantage. It's just poking nicely with down forward one. The hell sweeps are coming, and she did really well to interrupt me there. Just stop me being able to get some pretty cheap momentum. Again, it's just a shame to see not getting a full combo there.
Fight.
So she had the presence of mind to duck there, which could have been a big counter hit anyway. So, as usual, I'm trying to get a bit of pressure going into forward 2, but well.
Round 4. Fight.
She's pretty dominant here. Trying to keep her out a little bit with jabs. Forward 2s. I mean, a lot of the stuff I'm doing is highs, so she could be ducking. That's a nice mid check. Okay, so that's more like it. Like, it's not quite optimal, but that's a lot bigger damage. A lot of people say that move is no good, but I do find, especially near the wall, it can be quite nice, it can be quite useful. It'd be great if they gave that a buff in Season 4, but, well, Gigas, of course, could do with a lot of buffs, so we'll just have to see. Now there, believe it or not, I did see that he was going to go for the string, and I thought it was a good bet to just try and interrupt, and I'm glad it worked out.
KO.
It's a nice little low poke to round that one out. Okay, so straight back in now. I've gone with my Crusader kind of look this time.
Round 1.
I don't even remember changing, but whatever. Straight out with it. Pretty good combo, and I'm quite happy with him. That I find works quite a lot if you think they're going to spring up, and you can often get that, and it just gets such good damage. It's just such a good power crush if you use it at the right time.
Fight.
That was a shame. And again, she's just so sharp on that. Down forward 1 interrupting a cross chop. That's the second time it's happened. I should know better, really. stuffed me out there, you see. If I'd just gone with the 1, I probably would have got under the jab. But that's Gigas, you know, his golem stance is just so trash right now.
Fight.
This time it's not going to work again. And I didn't manage to connect that with the proper combo. Recently I picked up an Ethernet cable, and I'm hoping that that'll make the difference when it comes to the crouch cancel combo, and I'll be able to get a little bit more consistent, but we'll just have to see. Especially what they've been talking about Season 4, you know, about the Wi-Fi indicator. It just seemed like the time was right to get on that bandwagon. I've heard people say it makes such a difference, and I'll be interested to see to what extent that's actually true. You get some matches and it's just obvious that the connection is complete trash in it. You're dropping things left and right, but there again, you know, Wi-Fi can be okay. Still, I'm hoping it'll just, well, I suppose if nothing else, it'll mean I can't make excuses. Alright, so we're 2 wins deep, and this is going pretty well for me. I'm feeling quite pleased. I mean, I can see I'm making mistakes, and Gigas' big damage and people's lack of matchup familiarity definitely carrying me to a certain extent, but nevertheless, you know, it's going pretty well so far. In case you're wondering, current outfit is meant to be a kappa. People who've played Neo would probably be familiar with that. It's like a water spirit that often eat children and things, and that's why I've got the grass around his feet as well. I kind of like the idea of him being this riverbank creature, so the level that's been picked just works nicely for that. It's too bad. See, I'm thinking that she went for the aerial move expecting the rage drive, and so I'm anticipating that, thinking I could probably just rush in with the running 2, but it didn't quite pan out for me this time. I do love that throw. Kazumi's 1+2 break throw is probably my favourite aesthetically in the game. I think it just looks great. So yeah, keeping a bit far around, a bit nervous to come in, and you'll be surprised how often that works, you know. People don't tend to go for the running tackle, just raw like that, but if you're just trying to close out around, it can work. I think that's the first time they've actually managed to set that up against this opponent, so I'm quite happy with that. This has been a dominant round for me there.
Round 4. Fight.
What have we got? Starting just trying to hit a little bit low. Oof. I'm surprised I made the right call, and I'm really surprised that was interrupted there. I mean, great presence of mind, great speed. That move, the sidestep 2, is Gigas' most evasive option, so if you are going to try and sidestep with him, you really have to gamble on the 2. If you mess it up, then, you know, it's duckable, it's slow, but it's the best bet you've got. Alright, so 3 games straight. It's going pretty well for Gigas, but, you know, I'm thinking, when they talk about tiers, what they're really talking about is the longer you go on, the weaker your character's likely to get if you're a low tier character, and I think that's going to start coming in now, because I've used basically my full box of tricks and my opponent's better than I am, so I think it's really going to start becoming apparent at this point. I think I've been quite lucky that my opponent didn't seem to realise that there's not really a mix-up out of Golem, and that's something that the people that make the game really need to sort out and make it a little bit more dangerous, but oh my god, that's lack of matchup knowledge, isn't it? All my opponent would need to do would be to hold block, not press a button, and then when the 1 throw that comes out, just get ready with that 1+2 break. It's just one of many weaknesses of Gigas. Still, they haven't really been breaking that throw too much so far, so, you know, that works. as you can see, this is the tide's turned here. Don't know if they're playing a little bit more careful or what it is, but yeah, I've had my chips a little bit, I think. Maybe they just put their game face on a little bit, but I think the tide has turned. This is the point where it starts to go wrong. Oh, that diamond cutter, I think it's down 1-2. I've heard some people complain about, you know, Kazumi's, where she sends the tiger after them. I think it does something like 60 damage, but I don't really think there's anything to complain about. It's only guaranteed on counter hit, so it seems like a good, fair move to me. The fact that I'm just throwing out 1-2 like that, I think I'm definitely starting to panic in there, you know. After the flash punch that I missed even a 10-frame opportunity, that just shows you, I mean... Here we go, so it looks like I'm starting to take the momentum back here. And there, you know, absolutely wide open, that should have been my win, but I was too slow. I've got no idea why that didn't hit me. So yeah, I had it, and there, I think probably I was going for 2 and 1 rather than 1 plus 2, and it happens all the time, and I do think that comes down to input lag. It's very annoying. But yeah, hopefully that's something the Ethernet cable would fix. Equally, it could be that I panicked and hit R1, but more than likely it was the input didn't come out as I wanted it to. Don't know if you played what's that game? The Guacamelee. So this outfit was inspired by the devil from that. You know, he turns into a chicken. I really like the suited devil look that you can get for your character, so yeah, that's what's going on there, in case you were wondering. As you can see, the momentum's definitely shifted. I think my opponent's starting to feel more confident, they're coming in on me, and you know, that match there, just decisive, ended with authority. A nice stylish finish as well. I mean, I was just overwhelmed. That was a gamble and it worked out, but I can't say it was good play just throwing her down 2 like that. Now that move, the kick and the headbutt, there is time to interrupt on a block, but I was fishing for the counter hit, just hoping for the best there, because you know, I ran in, got the pressure and then went for that, and as of the last patch that came in, if one hits, the next one will hit, which is the sort of thing that should have been there from the start, but I'm glad they fixed it at least. Now that, I was almost sure that I would be able to tank out whatever was coming. I was expecting the wall running 2, and it would make the difference, but unfortunately, because she was also enraged, that just a little bit of extra damage just did me in, and that was over. I felt quite pleased I'd got a read there, but clearly, well, mistakes were made. Now that combo I used there, that is the one you might use out in the open to just get that little bit more damage. It's not the only combo you can do, it's one that has better wall carry, you know, it's down forward 3, 1 plus 2, 1 plus 2, but for pure damage, if you don't expect to hit the wall or you're on an infinite stage, it's the best bet. And I feel like it looks a little bit clumsy, but, you know, what doesn't with Gigas, really. I'm surprised she didn't come in there and use the mix-up, yeah, like that. There again, I could have got more, I should have done, but I don't know if I panicked or what it was, but that was a shame. Now that move, I do love it. Something that a lot of people don't realise that you can do, that's to charge your second back too. And more often than not, better players will be expecting the high, so then they'll duck, and then they won't know what to do when you charge up and bring in the second hit like that. So, I mean, it's the kind of trick that's only going to work once or twice. It's gimmicky, but it does give you another option. And of course, there's also the option that you stomp in and then throw the overkill throw out. So, yeah, I mean, you work with what you have to some extent, you know. Gigas doesn't have the best tools, in fact, he arguably has some of the worst, but
Round 1.
if you want to spend the time and the attention and the care, then any character, they've got stuff that they can use. I remember when Marduk first came out, I tried picking him up, and I sunk quite a few matches in. I think I probably played about 400 matches with him overall, and it seemed immediately like he was just a better version of Gigas. There were just things that he could do, and he got so much stuff for free, and he was so powerful. But I felt quite early on that I just missed Gigas. He, like for example, his forward 1+2, that's a move that I missed. Nowadays it does about 60 odd damage, and then you have forward 2, and you know Marduk, he doesn't have such a fast move to just slap them away like a nice keep out tool, I don't think. So I ended up going back to Gigas, and honestly I just don't think Marduk is that nice of a guy. I think he's quite unpleasant, and I don't get that feeling from Gigas. I've always felt about Gigas, he's had a special place in my heart because he's got this sense of him being a victim, you know. He's powerful and strong and all the rest of it, but he reacts like an animal in pain because of the things he's been subjected to. And so I don't think you can call him a villain, though technically he works for the bad side, although he's more of a slave, I suppose. I haven't really talked about this before because it hasn't been relevant, but after having gone into hospital, I feel like it is a little bit. And that's, so when you have a seizure, when you come round, or when, for me anyway, you're in this you're in a state of confusion, and you sometimes do lash out, and you're in a great deal of pain, your head hurts, and you don't know what's going on, you lash out, and you can be kind of feral. And I think that's one of the reasons that I like Gigas so much. I feel like I can relate to him. I mean, obviously I'm not like 7 feet tall and built like a truck, but I feel like I kind of understand how he feels a little bit. Because of how I feel when I've had a bad seizure. I think that's probably why I ended up sticking with him when a lot of people dropped him or just never liked him in the first place. Anyway, I know I'm not really commenting too much on the match. A lot of this is just me kind of sharing my thoughts and rambling, and so I hope that's interesting. But you know, if anything comes up that I do want to comment on, then I'll do so. But you know, while I'm kind of recovering, I'm not really focusing on the technical stuff all that much. Besides, you know, the match is going on and you can watch it and draw your own conclusions about a lot of what I'm doing. Since I got out, I haven't really played any Tekken. I just haven't been up to it. I'm not even hitting practice mode or anything. Just been taking it easy. You know, story-driven games and things like that don't take too much concentration. But I am looking forward to Season 4, in a sense at least. We've all seen the video with probably Kunimitsu, although why they're being cagey about it does have me a little bit concerned. I mean, people have been really asking for Kunimitsu, and I'm not too sure why, but they have. And you have the possibility it might be Jun as well. And it makes me worried that on the one hand they're trying to build hype with both groups, but it means that whichever way it goes, somebody's going to be disappointed. And it could be we'll get another guest or an original character, and then both of the legacy fan bases will be disappointed. And I just wouldn't put it past them at this point. I mean, greater minds than mine have talked about how bloated the game is and how we really don't need any more characters. And I have to agree. I was hoping for an announcement for Tekken 8 because I've kind of had enough. I'm a little bit sick of the game, to be quite honest. Still, we'll see. I mean, one thing's for sure. When Tekken 8 does come around, we're not going to see my main again. Gigas is out of there. That makes me a little bit sad. but there's bound to be somebody else that I can play. Either a new character, or I'll go to one of the various other characters I've played. And I've played about 15 different characters in and among.
Final round.
And I think
Fight.
when I play Tekken, I like to try and find something that I can relate to in them. And sometimes it's just their function that I like, but generally speaking, something about their personality or their attitude speaks to me. And so as long as there's some point of connection, I can get into their headspace, or I feel like I can, then there's something to be appreciated. I really like playing lots of different characters because it means that I usually have some kind of choice that I can counterpick. Depending on what my opponent does, who they go for, then I've got an answer. And I know that there are those who prefer to have a good character, or one who's very adaptable. But for me, I like the variety and the choice to tailor my pick. So, you know, I've got characters like Gigas, who is the dearest to my heart, I would say, but whose raw power I really enjoy, in the way he's always pushing and trying to move them toward the wall. I love his wall running too, for example. And then you have other characters like Brian, whom I mainly use for keep out, but who I really also enjoy whiff punishing with. And then who else do you have? I mean, King. I used to love wrestling, I really did. And so the feeling of his throws is always something enjoyable, and that quick counter hitting back one. And there's just so many different characters in the game. They all have their own little niche. I think there's too many, of course there's too many. But it's enjoyable to be able to play somebody like Gigas and then to change gear and then play someone like Kazumi and have that much more mobility, and to try and poke away and impose 50-50s as of Season 3. You know, that's a bit more of a factor now. She's got those ways to fly in and try and impose her will that way. Okay, so you see there, I got a couple of throw breaks in, and alright, I won, but I missed some opportunities there that I shouldn't have.
Fight.
See, she's cottoned on to what I'm going for now, like that down back 4, and then I like to follow it up with the low quite often. She's interrupting me. You may not know this about Gigas unless you're a Gigas player, but his down back 4 is minus on hit, but on counter hit it does give an advantage. I'm shocked that I got that through. I shouldn't have, really. I mean, maybe she was pressing buttons, or I don't know, but I didn't really deserve that.
Great.
You know, I could be somewhat proud of that. That was a good read. She tried to close it out with the low, and I made the right guess, so that was cool. You have to ask, to what extent can you really be proud of making a good guess? But then, you know, you have people who act like playing Kazuya is some kind of great accomplishment when, you know, it's just a coin toss simulator, as they say. You can have respect for good execution and punishment knowledge and all the rest of it, but when their back's to the wall, when it comes to Kazuya, you just know they're going to start throwing out Hell Sweep, and they're going to just play in a really simplistic and uninspired way a lot of the time. And I suppose that's the nature of 50-50s, really. Not to say a lot of my characters don't have 50-50s, but when they become a crutch, I think that's a problem. I think people tend to hide behind certain characters and pretend that they're much more honest and orthodox, and, you know, it takes real skill to play them, when in fact, you know, they're actually just relying on gimmicks. That's a shame. So now I'm watching how I'm playing here, and I'm just thinking, I'm mashing a little bit, I'm panicking. I can tell that I'm agitated, and it's not working out for me. Okay, so I'm trying to turn the pressure on a little bit with that wall running too. My favourite wall running move, I would have to say. Now there, it's not uncommon to do a down back 3 into an overkill, so I thought going for a generic grab might mix up and then we would side swap perhaps. Might give me a favourable situation, but as you can see it didn't really pan out that way.
Fight.
That's a nice move as well. You know, Kazumi's 3-2, and then she can punch them in the head or drop a tiger on them. And yeah, alright, she doesn't have a 15 frame launcher, but for 15 frames the range on that and the damage is comparable to a launcher, so you know, you work with what you have. That's what I was saying before about Gigas. That's certainly not to put them on the same level in terms of how rounded their tool sets are or anything like that. But I do enjoy that about Tekken, how you can really try and shore up your own weaknesses by adapting what tools you do have. Speaking of Kazumi, well, I'm Gigas. It would be really nice if they did put Jinpachi in. I never really played Tekken seriously in any meaningful way, and by that I just mean online, before this game, and so the idea is about character balance or what the purpose was or anything like that. I couldn't tell you before Tekken 7, and certainly I'm no expert now. But I've heard people say Jinpachi is sort of like a Kazumi-style character in that they're Mishima-style tools, but without the execution or the electrics and that kind of thing. But also with some of the conventions of a big body character. And since I really enjoy playing Kazumi and I always go for big body characters, it sounds to me like Jinpachi could be a really good fit for me. Plus I like his look, he looks cool. So yeah, I think probably no one really wants to see Jinpachi again, and I wouldn't expect him this game, but it'd be cool if he did come back at some point.
Round 3. Fight.
I could hit confirm there, and I have no idea why I stood him up into that. And there you see I did the while rising 2, whereas that stagger I should have got a while standing 3 and got full launch, but you know, what could you do? Right in the moment, it's not always easy to make those good decisions. She spaced me out really well there, and I mean, went as it should have done, really. I mean, that was just an absolute joke. What kind of play was that? I can only say I panicked, just hit a button. It's ridiculous. Now there she tried to delay. I saw a window to get the counter hit. I could have got more damage off that counter hit and I didn't, which is a little bit of a shame. I think that's me about done there. Yeah. I'll seal that one. So yeah, as it's gone on, it's become more and more one-sided, that much is clear, but well, it's hardly a surprise, is it? I don't feel like I've played badly. I do think my my movement, as the matches have gone on, my movement has become less good. And I haven't been thinking properly about how I should be playing, but oh, what can you do? I'm trying to get some pokes in, some interrupts. Now this is just, I'm getting out poked absolutely here. This isn't good. I'm mashing, I'm trying to find some pressure, but it's simply not good play. Now there, I did see that she'd gone for it, and I thought, okay, here's my chance, I can get in a rage shot, and thankfully it did work. I knew she was committed to that kick for quite a while, but that was more my opponent's blunder than it was my skill that got me to win there. And you know, a lot of people say rage outs are a cheap way to win, and I can't really argue with that. I don't think that was a skillful victory. for those that don't know, down, forward, 3, 1 plus 2, 1 plus 2. It's not really that good of a string. On counter hit, then yeah, that makes it a 13 frame launcher, which is an excellent thing to have, but the second hit is minus something like 16, and if you commit to the last hit, yeah, it becomes safe, but it's a high, so at a certain point in the string there's no mix-up, so it's either do you get launched or do you get launched. So yeah, if your opponent's ready for it, then it's bad, it's a bad scene. Really, you just have to hope you command it as a counter hit. But there is one niche use for it which is very good, and that is, I believe, when Ling does a Kali roll, your 13 frames that you have after that gives you ample time to get that in, and there's very little she can do about it, because I don't think she has anything faster than 13 frames that she can hope to do. Here's a general tip about the Kali roll. So it's minus 11, and what that means is that a lot of the time she goes relatively unpunished. However, a great many characters do have an 11 frame throw, a special throw. And if you have one of those, a command throw that comes out 11 frames that will work from behind, then it becomes a true punish. There's nothing that she can do about it. So a particularly good example would be King's, his back forward 1 plus 2, and that's a big chunk of damage, and it becomes a true punish. You can't break it because it's from behind, and yeah, it's an 11 frame punish. You know, test it out in practice mode with whoever your character is, and you'll see what I mean. Just completely out of space there. Great call from Zona de Guerra. What was that? Wide open. I should have got a launch, but I just completely missed my chance. Okay, well, I've got a little bit of pressure going, and then yeah, I was close enough to the wall that I was able to close that one out, so that's nice. I think this is the last match I was able to record, so before I run out of footage, I'm just going to say that yeah, I'd been recording it, but I've got it set to only record an hour, and I knew the hour would expire and then that would be an end to it. So I stopped recording after this one, I think it is. And then unfortunately, the latter half of our matches, which, as I mentioned before, Zona de Guerra won quite convincingly. I think I may have taken one more match back or something like that. But yeah, I had the seizure, and so then the footage was lost. I was rushed to the hospital. I was absent for the last round, and then after that, I was in the ambulance, so it was lost. Thankfully, my partner was able to send a GG's out to Zona, and that was it. Anyway, that's it. So thanks for watching. Hope you found that interesting. I'm just adding splicing a little bit at the end there, so I can just close it out. But yeah, I know this was a little bit different. I was talking about life as much as I was about Tekken, and I hope it was entertaining or you got something out of it. Anyway, hopefully I'll start playing the game again soon, and thank you for watching. And that's it. Toodle pip, I guess.